Yeah, we're not doctors or giving any medical advice. This show is intended for educational purposes only, and you should talk to your doctor about any medical issues. Now, let's get at it.
Welcome to Chat the Fat, where nutrition authors Nissa Graun and TC Hale are going to break down common low-carb mistakes. Let's chat all things low-carb, keto, digestion, and more so you can maximize your results.
Hello, good people, and welcome back to Chat the Fat. This is episode 36. I'm TC Hale, and I'm on episode 36 of Chat the Fat. I already said that, Nissa Graun.
I am here as well, and we just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone, since if you are listening when this comes out, it's Christmas.
Or happy holiday, whatever your thing is. I don't want to get it all wrong. I hate getting in trouble, and I'm not a Christmaser, and why are you so evil for wishing me a Merry? Just have happy times is what I mean. A holiday of happiness. Yeah, do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, good. So this is a part 2. So if you didn't hear part 1, you should probably hear part 1 because 1 becomes before 2.
Yes, we are going to do a quick review, but there's still a good 30 to 40 minutes worth of tips that you could be missing out on.
Right.
All right, but before we start, so we started the last episode with a testimonial from one of my good friends who found keto to change her life. But today we wanted to switch it up a little bit and actually talk about one of our podcast reviews that we received.
So this is an iTunes review. And thank you so much for everybody that's been giving us the reviews on iTunes. That really helps us spread the word more than just about anything. So thank you for everybody who's been doing that.
And we like you when you give reviews, but we really like you when you give 5-star reviews and say lots of nice things. So definitely do that. All right, so this 5-star review comes from Cloris, and she titled it Keto Explained. The hosts do such a great job explaining keto in lay terms. Also, so important that they talk about the quality of our life when we are on a keto diet. It's not just about losing weight, but about feeling good and being healthy. Very engaging. 5 stars.
I like it when people say that I teach in lay terms instead of saying, that guy is such a schmuck, but I still learn stuff.
Exactly. I found the more simple you can keep it, the better able people will be to learn.
Right. But I just like how she worded that and saying, he's the best simpleton ever.
That's a compliment. That's a good thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of doctors out there that explain things in medical terms, and then no one knows what to do
no one knows
because
they
they can't
say.
figure it
So
out.
thank you, Cloris, and thank you for the review as well.
We appreciate it. So how do people give us their own 5-star reviews?
You can go to iTunes and there's like a tab that's ratings and reviews when you're on the show page. If you just go to iTunes and you can just search for Chat the Fat. And you can also, I think you can do it on your phone now. They just upgraded if you're using the Apple Podcast app that you can actually do reviews on the app now. But if you're on Stitcher, if you're an Android person, they have places to do reviews on Stitcher as well.
And you don't know, Cloris didn't know that we would be reading her review today. So you never know when you might pop up on our podcast because you left us a review.
She's so famous now.
She is. All right. So let's finish our 2-part podcast about staying keto while traveling. And I thought, even if you didn't listen to part 1 yet, you definitely should do that. But let's review the first 5 tips. And the first tip that we had is to eat a large meal before you leave for your trip. Number 2, stock up on travel-friendly keto snacks to take with you while en route, as well as to have available once you're at your destination. Number 3, if you are stuck for a meal, but you need to get extra fat in, bulletproof coffee can definitely count as a meal. Number 4, if you are fat adapted, utilize intermittent fasting while traveling. And number 5, eat a hearty breakfast to keep you fueled even longer.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what number 6 is.
That's good because we are going to talk about number 6. So our number 6 tip for staying keto while traveling is to review restaurant menus before going out. So obviously a big part of traveling is typically eating out more often. Since you're not at home, you can't cook as often. So it's always important to look ahead at the menu to make sure that there are options that you can choose that fit into your keto plan. Thankfully, these days, a lot of restaurants actually have their menus available online. And even if the restaurant didn't go ahead and put that online for you, some people actually add it to places like Yelp. So just doing a quick Google search and you can find that. Now, if it's a chain restaurant, not only do you want to look at the menu, but you also want to take a look at the nutrition information that they provide, because as we talked about in the last episode, just because it's a salad, that doesn't mean that the restaurant didn't load it up on carbs. So it's always best to look at that nutrition info ahead of time so you don't eat it and then look and then realize that you ate too many carbs to stick to your keto plan.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, man, this salad is delicious. And wait a minute, why are there M&Ms at the bottom of my salad? That's really weird. I did not
That
expect that.
that would not surprise me to find M&Ms on a salad.
Right.
It's kind of sad. Um, so if there isn't any nutrition information available, then your best bet is always to make sure to order sauces and dressings on the side in case they do contain sugar. And if you don't have that nutrition information available to you, sometimes you can just get a little bit of taste and you can taste if there's sugar in the sauce.
Right. And almost every salad dressing in a restaurant is going to have sugar in it unless you ask for something that's not. The Caesar dressing seems to be the least offensive in most places. That doesn't mean you're not going to find a bunch of sugar in some of them, but they just seem to put less in that one. Everything else seems to just be piled with sugar.
Yeah, a lot of people just use their own like vinegar and oil, but
Right.
obviously vinegar will have a little bit of carbs in it, but load up on the oil portion.
Right.
All right, so also don't be afraid to make special orders if you need to. So if you order chicken, just make sure the chicken you're ordering isn't breaded. And obviously, if you're ordering something like a burger, be sure to ask for it with no bun. A lot of times restaurants will serve it to you over a bed of lettuce, or they'll just wrap it up in lettuce for you. And yes, you can order a burger and just say that you're going to take the bun off. But a lot of people, especially if you're new to keto, just having that bun on your plate could be a temptation. And some people might say, oh, a little bite won't hurt. And
Yeah.
it's true for a lot of people, it won't hurt. But it does hurt when that little bite turns into half the bun and now you're out of ketosis because you just want a little bit of the bun.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to just not have the things. I like to get to the table and be like, oh, don't worry about bringing us any bread. I don't want
Yeah.
to stare at that the whole time.
And especially also if you are ordering something like a burger with cheese on it or some of the other tasty fats, a lot of times that gets stuck on the bun. So you're missing half of the food that you ordered if you are too shy to ask for it without a bun.
Right.
And then on that note, you also want to ask servers not to bring any carby options to the table that could tempt you. So things like chips and salsa, which I know are a huge temptation for me. Also bread and butter. And if you are dining out with friends and family that still enjoy these foods, the only tip I can offer, because I don't think it'll go as well if you tell them not to bring it, but they want it. So just try to keep them on the opposite side of the table so you're not tempted by it.
Right. Or if there's ketchup on the table when the bread comes because other people want it, I just dump ketchup all over the bread because I don't like it like that. But I'm like, if you want it, you can have it, but I'm not having it.
That's not very nice. Actually, when I was young, I used to roll up bread, just like a slice of bread, and I would dip it in ketchup.
No, really?
I
You
thought
make
that
that
was good.
hard ball thing? I used to do
Yes.
that too, where I would just compact the bread into like that little
Yeah.
ball that you just eat like a hard
Yeah.
boiled egg. Yeah. Yeah.
I did it, and my mom said she did it, and my niece also does it. So I don't know if it's like some weird genetic defect, but if you were doing it too, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I think
All
all the
right.
cool kids were doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of gross now.
Hmm.
um, so tip number 7 kind of relates to tip number 6, but I separated it out because I had a lot to say. So tip number 7 is
Here we go.
it's actually to learn how to dine out while you're keto or low carb. So when you are dining out while traveling, you need to understand how to read a menu and actually how to order a keto meal while you're dining out since that obviously could happen a lot when you travel. So, one of the ways that you could do this is to Google the city that you're going to and just type that city's name in and type in keto friendly restaurants. And you might find some options where they actually have low carb options available. So, like when I was just in San Diego recently, there was a burger restaurant that actually had something on the menu called Paleo Burger. So, I knew that that would probably be a good option for me. And not only did they serve it in a lettuce wrap instead of a bun, but they actually added other low carb options to the burger. So, things like avocado, bacon, cheese, and mayo. And sorry, my dog's barking.
That dog.
um, yeah. So a big part of keto is to not just take off the carbs, so you want to take off the bun, but you also want to make sure that you're adding healthy fats to those meals so you stay satiated. And that's pretty much one big mistake that I made when I first started keto or low carb is I focused on getting rid of the carbs, which is something that we want to do, but I never really focused about adding more healthy fats. It was just about getting rid of the carbs to me. And a lot of times when I first started, this led me to not really feeling satiated with just eating a plain burger patty. And, once I started to keto that burger patty up by adding all of the sides that come with it, like avocado, mayo, cheese, things like that, it helped me feel more satiated with my meal. And then I didn't crave the carbs like I did when I was just taking off the bun and eating that as my meal.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of people might think, oh, I just like barbecue sauce on my burger, so that's too much sugar in that one that I usually use, and they don't do anything. But you can just test out other fats that you might find that you really like.
Yeah. And so I think that's important to, yes, you want to take away the carbs, but also make sure you're eating enough to feel satiated. So we also have a few more tips when eating out while traveling or even when you're at home, since this could work for both. So you could ask to double up on your veggies instead of having bread or starch, which obviously will kick you out of ketosis. And you can also add butter to those vegetables to not only up the fat intake, but it also helps pull out the fat soluble vitamins in the vegetables. You
Hmm.
can also order meat with vegetables, which would be a great option for you. A salad could be also a good side, but you just want to make sure that you're ordering the salad without excess carbs that they add, like croutons. Sometimes even carrots are enough to kick people out of ketosis. So things like that, you want to make sure you're ordering your salad without those. And you also want to make sure that the dressing you choose is on the lower end of sugar. You could also use olive oil and vinegar as your dressing. You also want to try to drink water instead of soda. So obviously you don't want to drink regular soda because that's pretty much just sugar. But sometimes even ordering a diet soda isn't the best option. Just keep in mind that just because diet soda doesn't have calories or carbs, it doesn't mean that it's not causing an insulin spike and causing you to feel bad or feel hungrier.
Yeah, I just find it's easier once you just don't have those things, because then I don't. It's not like I have to wonder, oh, am I going to have some kind of soda thing? I drink carbonated water sometimes, and I like that a lot sometimes. But um, for some people, it's just easier if you just drop it all together than to say, oh, I'm just going to have it on this trip or at this occasion, because it can just make you be in another occasion and really want it. I find that it's so much easier for me when I'm just like, I don't do that. I just don't put it in.
Yeah. And not only that, but I found because I did the diet soda for years when I was battling my weight and I was also low carb. So I thought because it doesn't have carbs, I could drink it. And it actually intensified my cravings for sweet food because it
Right.
has that sweetness in it. And it also, I thought at the time it was making me feel more full, but later I realized it was actually making me way hungrier.
Huh,
So
interesting. Yeah.
definitely good to skip that. Something else you can skip is dessert because obviously those are typically filled with sugar. But if you feel like that you're on vacation and you want to enjoy yourself and you might be deprived when everyone else is ordering dessert, you could always do things like order a coffee and add butter or heavy cream for a delicious treat. I know my husband does that one a lot. You can also sneak in a few squares of dark chocolate with you. Just stick it in your purse and pull it out when everyone else is eating their dessert. So I typically eat anything above 85% or higher dark chocolate for my dessert. And then obviously we still have a few more meal tips. So we talked about burgers are a great option. Just make sure you're having it served on salad or wrapped in lettuce. You also want to look for those meat-only options as a main dish and then order a keto-friendly side like veggies or salad. But when you are ordering those main dishes, you want to, the main dishes I'm talking about like steak or chicken or pork chops, you want to dissect the menu and make sure that they don't have sugary sauces or glazes added to them. Anytime you see those, like any kind of special sauce or glaze, a lot of times sugar will be added. So you definitely want to ask to have that on the side and then determine once they bring it if it's something you should have on your meal. You could also ask the server what comes included in the sauces or have them added to the side so you can make that decision. A lot of times you can taste the sweetness. If you've been following keto for a while, you're no longer getting those sweeteners in your day. So you'll be able to taste if there is sugar added to it, or if you can't taste it because maybe you're eating too many keto sweeteners, then it's probably best just to avoid it altogether and ask for a high fat sauce instead. But just always basically know the ingredients, because some of those innocent sauces that the restaurants are serving to you are not so innocent at all, and they do contain a lot of carbs.
Right. And a lot of the meat only options are really good. Even when I went to Disneyland, I was like, oh, well, how's this going to go? I don't think this is going to go very well. And I found this place, and they had pork belly on a stick. And I never even had pork belly before. And I had it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had. And like for the next 3 months, I had like pork belly every week. I was making it myself and stuff. But that's not even a keto treat, but it's just a really fatty cut of meat. And it was just on a skewer, didn't have other stuff with it, and I was able to eat that and be keto just fine, even while I hung out with the rat.
Yeah,
The rat is Mickey Mouse.
someone actually told me that there's lists somewhere of how to stay keto at Disney. So
Oh,
there's like a
cool.
list of all the restaurants you can check out. I
Hmm.
didn't find that. Maybe we'll find it this year. So when we went to Disney last year, it poured rain for 3 days straight. So we were
Right.
just basically going into any restaurant we could
Uh,
find just to stay dry.
right. That's so funny.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be dry this year.
Yeah.
All right. So tip number 8 is to check out the local grocery store and make sure that you're shopping for the hotel, or like in my case, I actually stay with family, but I do bring food along and stuff it in their fridge, even though it's already filled with holiday foods.
Yeah,
uh,
when I visit in-laws and stuff like that, like my mother-in-law is always like, what do I buy for you before you get here? Like people know that I'm not eating that garbage you're making, so what do I need to get for you so that you can feed yourself? And I'll tell them, a couple things, and then I usually go to the store after I get there. But that way they get a couple things, they feel hospitable, and I have something right when I get there, and I can cook it and make it and have something until I can make it to the store myself.
And that's nice because Jason's family will actually do that for us, where they'll cook special things for us. And a lot of them have actually started following keto as well, which is awesome because I go to family get-togethers and there's keto food available.
Right.
But my family actually expects me to cook for them
No, nice.
because they love all the fat bombs that I make. They just don't want to make them themselves. So I
Right.
actually end up cooking for them, which whatever, that's fine.
Right.
Um, so make sure that you are checking out the local grocery store to find some keto-friendly snacks that are easy to throw into your bag and have available for when you need them. So the other snacks or meals that require refrigeration, um, it is helpful to go to a local grocery store because obviously you might not want to take snacks that require refrigeration on a plane with you, since that might not go so well. So one trick that you can do is Google health food stores to see if there are any specialty stores in the area. And a lot of times those specialty stores, like even Sprouts, will have more keto-friendly options. But at the same time, we also advocate for a mostly real food keto diet. So pretty much any grocery store you visit, you should be able to find the basics, things like eggs, bacon, cheese, lunch meat, or pretty much whatever else will be helpful to get you through your vacationing time. When I travel for the holidays, like I said, my family loves it because I come and I make them cheesecake fat bombs and I make them keto eggs, and they like when I come to stay with them,
Right, right.
which it makes me feel better because I feel like with kids, we just take up all their space. So it
Yeah,
makes me
yeah,
feel
for
like I'm
sure.
contributing. So there are some other foods that you can consider to keep in your hotel room or wherever you're staying while you're traveling. And some of these things include like eggs, chicken, or tuna salad.
You know,
Chicken,
and a lot more grocery stores now have it to where you can buy hard-boiled eggs already cooked and peeled in like a little bag, and
yeah,
it
we
makes it
actually
really
buy those
easy.
for Charlie because we're trying to get him to eat more eggs. So we buy those at Sprouts. They have some organic
Hmm.
eggs already cooked and peeled, and he'll eat the outside. He still won't eat the yolk yet. We're working on
Yeah,
it.
good, good.
So yeah, you could buy those. You could buy chicken wings, salad. Just make sure you're not mixing it up with the dressing until you're ready to eat it because it'll get soggy. You can also buy pre-cooked bacon. I've seen bacon jerky as well. They have now. You can buy lunch meat and roll that up as a quick meal or snack. And then, of course, pre-made guacamole, or you could just bring your own avocados to cut up. You could also buy things like hummus and cheese. So there's definitely lots of options just at a normal grocery store that you can buy that can help you stay keto while you are traveling. So anything that you eat at home that's convenient, make a list and you can bring that with you so you can go shopping for those items and add them to your mini fridge while you're traveling in case you need something quick before you head out for the day, or in case you don't find any keto options available to you wherever you choose to dine when you're out with your friends and family.
Cool.
Cool. All right. So number 9, I don't know how you're going to feel about this one.
I feel okay with it. You know, there's a lot more options coming up. You go ahead. You do
All
your
right.
thing.
All right, so number 9 is when you are traveling, you should stick to low carb alcohol options. So, a lot of times when we're traveling, the option of relaxing with a drink or two is going to arise. And while keto does work better for most people when you're not consuming alcohol on a regular basis, having an occasional drink here or there won't completely derail most people's efforts. So if you are going to drink, make sure that you're keeping it low carb so you can stay closer to the macros that you should be eating. And this includes both the alcohol that you choose as well as the mixers that you're choosing to mix into the alcohol.
Yeah, that can be a big one because people will think that, oh, I'm just doing this thing with tonic. You know, I'm just having like a gin and tonic. And isn't that tonic is the one that has like sugar in it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I
Or
think so. And
no, I
soda
think
doesn't.
gin and tonic does. Gin and soda does
Soda
not.
doesn't. Right. Yeah. So know what you're doing. And just like Starbucks, you know, bartenders put flavory things in drinks too. So
So I actually went to bartending school and I was laid off from a job and I had nothing else to do. So I went to bartending school and the teacher told me that gin is for crazy people. I guess that's what Van Gogh was drinking when he cut off his ear. So I've always stayed far away from gin. So I don't know a ton about it.
right,
But
right.
anyway,
Yes, I've had
um,
my bartending time in my life too. I did that when I was young.
yeah, I did not for very long, but a short time. All right, so most higher quality beer that you come across is actually going to be loaded with carbs. There are some light beer options that you can choose that are lower in carbs. And I actually Googled this because it's been a while since I've drank anything like this, but I did find an article that has 15 different low carb beers. So we can definitely add that to the show notes if you really do want to drink beer. But of course, if you have a brand that you prefer, just make sure that you're Googling it and looking at the nutrition information to make sure that it's not super high in carbs. A lot of
Yeah,
the
a
lower
lot of
carb options that you broke up. A lot of the lower carb options that I looked at were like three grams of carbs or less, so not too
yeah,
high.
and a lot more people are making these options now just because the world is asking for them.
Yes, but something to keep in mind is to always look at serving sizes because obviously, if you're handed a bottle or a can, that's going to be a serving size. But sometimes, if they give you a big pint, that is going to be more than a serving size. So
Right.
just because the beer says 3 carbs, if you're getting a double serving, then you're going to have 6 carbs. And if you overdo that, it can be really easy to get kicked out of ketosis. So there are some other alcohol options that you can consider. Something like a serving of Pinot Noir has about 4 grams of carbs, or a lot of the red wines are in the same boat. And something like a flute de champagne only contains 1 carb. And obviously, if your drinks are mixed with anything, so if you have a hard alcohol, you could ask for things like a gin and soda rather than a gin and tonic, or a Cuba Libre with a Diet Coke, or even a low-carb mojito using diet lemon lime soda. And then you wanted to avoid the drinks that contain high amounts of sugar that are filled with mixers like orange juice, milk, or even regular soda. And so something else to keep in mind is once you do start drinking, your inhibitions are probably going to be lowered. And this can mean that maybe you're drinking under your carb limit, but a lot of times people start drinking and they don't make the best eating choices while they're drinking. So that
Yeah.
can easily throw you out of ketosis if the alcohol gets to you and then those appetizers that are filled with carbs start to look good. And if you are new to ketosis, if you get kicked out like that, it could take you a minimum of a week to get back in. So you just need to be careful that you're not overdoing it and not getting into those foods that are too high in carbs.
Yeah, and your ability to get away with things like this and to get right back on track right afterwards can have a lot to do with how fat adapted you are.
Yeah. And something else to consider is even if you only have 1 or 2 drinks, you might feel bad from alcohol the next day. And so if you didn't make any bad decisions of food that day, this was actually a big one for me where I would drink and then I would keep drinking. And then the next day I would feel horrible. And the only thing that could make me feel better was McDonald's, which meant I would eat bad foods from McDonald's because I wasn't just eating the gross patties. I was eating all the buns and the fries and everything. And that means that, that one night, that one decision to drink too much alcohol meant I had to start my low carb plan from scratch every time I did that. And there
Yeah.
was a while I was doing that pretty much every weekend.
Awesome.
I think a lot of people do. So I'm not ashamed to admit that.
We're starting to get some insights as to why low carb never really worked for Nissa before.
That is a big um, but I still kept trying every week. I still
Yeah,
tried.
it's good. It's good.
And one last thing to consider is a lot of people who go on keto and they haven't had a drink in a while, they realize that alcohol can actually affect them much more quickly than it did while they were eating carbs. So people start to feel the buzz, or maybe they get drunk faster, sometimes even just from 1 or 2 drinks, even though maybe it took 3 or 4 while they were eating carbs.
Right, right.
So definitely pay attention and definitely know that your decisions will not be as good if the alcohol is affecting you more quickly.
You'll know your decisions weren't as good because you'll be like, how did I get a Toblerone in a taco shell? They
Everyone goes to Taco Bell after a night of drinking, right?
right, right.
Actually, in my college, we had a Taco Bell, but the drive-thru was on the wrong side. So it was on the passenger side. So the only way to get Taco Bell after you were out was to have someone in the car with you.
Right. So, occasionally when I go, and I'll talk about this more in a second, but I remember once that I'm going to eat some junk on this trip. And so I went to Taco Bell and I was like, yeah, I want to get a Mexi Melt. And they're like, yeah, we haven't had those in about 15 years. I was like, what are you talking about? It's just because I hadn't had that in so long and that's what I had when I was young. I always got the Mexi Melts at Taco Bell at 3 a.m. after we went to the bar.
Yeah, I like their Mexican pizzas. Those are good. I wonder if they still have those. I don't know.
Can't help it.
Hopefully no one listening knows the answer to that because we're keto.
Right,
Mexican
come on.
nachos are not keto. All right. So we're on to our last tip, number 12, tip number 10. I can count. So tip number 10 is to commit to success while traveling. So just because you travel, it doesn't mean that you need to completely derail your keto efforts. You want to make your health a priority and decide that you want to continue your low carb lifestyle while you're traveling. And in order to do this, you definitely need to work on your mindset before you travel and also while you're traveling. So for me in the past, not only did alcohol stand in my way, but vacations always stood in my way because I was that person that always dieted really hard right up until it was time to go on vacation. I'd work out really hard to get in vacation shape, whatever that meant. And then a few days before I left for the trip, my mind would start slipping up. I'd start eating foods that weren't on my plan. And so by the time I left for the actual trip, my mindset was in full vacation mode. And I pretty much ate whatever I could shove into my mouth because I dieted for so hard for so long. I thought I deserved it and I missed it and I wanted it. So, needless to say, this meant that not only did I gain back a lot of the weight while I was on vacation, but it was also much harder to get back on track and into the right frame of mind once I came back from vacation.
Right. That's a really big one too, is because I'll do both. And if you're trying to reach your goals and it's been a struggle and you're finally seeing some success, then I don't like to see people go off of that. I like to see them stay on it long enough to reach their goals and see that they can do it so that they can get there. But once you're at your goals, if you go on vacation, I think it's fine to go and do something maybe you wouldn't normally do. So I do both, where I'll go on vacations where I'm strictly keto. And like we did the cruise, it was like 8 days. I was keto I never had a single non-keto thing that entire 8 days.
Yeah, you said before we went on the cruise, you said that you would take a break. And then I saw you at some of those meals, and I had like a little bit of a sweet roll or something on my plate, and you were just completely keto.
But you know what
Broke
is
that
because
pact.
this is what I wanted to act to this commit to success while traveling, is that the best way to succeed with traveling is to decide before you leave what you're going to do. And so I knew that as soon as I got back from that cruise that I was moving, and I was like, you know what, I think I would rather have crazy foods while I'm moving so that we don't have to worry about cooking and we can just have moving pizza, and I can uh, bribe people to help us move by giving pizza and stuff like that. So I decided that I was going to be keto on the cruise, and then I may have decided that at the last minute. You may have gotten screwed out of that. Me trying to trick you into eating junk.
Making me look bad.
Right. Yeah. But, I do both now because now I'm at my goal weight. I'm not still trying to lose weight or anything like that. And when I go off of keto, even if I just go to low carb or if I'm going to full eating junk for a night, I know that I get right back into ketosis in a day or so, and any weight that I gain comes right back off. So I know my body. I know what I'm doing. I know that I can get away with that. So when um, I'm going on some kind of trip or something, I know ahead of time if I'm going to go off, and then I don't have that battle in my head of, oh, should I eat this or not? I know I'm not going to eat it, or I know I am going to eat
Yeah, and I feel the same way where I don't personally have any issue with having flexibility and living a little while you're on vacation, but I think you have to know yourself. So if
it.
you're
Right.
like the Nissa who was, screw this, I'm going to eat everything I can and gain all the way back on a 7-day trip, just because you have one small taste of carbs and it just leads to this big binge mindset. I think you do need to stay more strict with yourself while you're traveling.
Right. If
But
you because I've had clients that well, I leaned against a vending machine and that just sent me into a 3-week spiral. So if you know that that's going to happen with you, then don't even lean against the vending machine.
yes, but now I've taken the time to improve digestion so I don't have those crazy cravings anymore.
Right.
This is the first time we've mentioned digestion this whole two podcasts.
Almost one. But that would almost been the first time ever, and you just
Wow.
screwed it up.
Okay,
That would have
so
been awesome. I was trying so hard.
so
Now we
once
need to talk for 45 minutes about digestion.
once once I improved that, um, I realized that I can have a small cheat here or there, like a little bit of a taste of a sweet roll on the low carb cruise every now and then. But I can still stick to the plan 95% of the time. Then I think you can have a little bit more leeway with yourself while you're on vacation, because even if, most people aren't going to lose weight while they're on vacation, but you just don't want to gain it. And you don't want to make it hard when you come back from vacation to get right back on track.
Right. And that's the next thing, is that when I get back from vacation, the next day I'm on it. It's not like I don't extend my vacation for a week and a half continuing to eat the junk. It's you got to know that you're going to get right back on it and then and then the price that you pay for that vacation is not so high.
Yeah. But I do think it's important to note that if someone is new to ketosis and they're going on vacation, that even those little cheats those can actually set them back, because if you're not really fat adapted yet, it can take a lot of people 7 to 10 days to get back into ketosis.
Right.
So sometimes even just cheating a little if you're brand new isn't a good idea. But if you're someone who's been fat adapted for a while and you've had a lot of success on keto, then you can have that flexibility and not really worry about doing any damage to your plan.
Yeah, and you got to know your mental state and what's going to affect you, but you also need to know what's going on with your health. If I'm a type 2 diabetic, I'm not going on vacations where I'm eating a bunch of junk. I know that I have to do everything right for a long time to fix that situation. And then once it's fixed, then I'll have a little more freedom.
All right. So those are our 10 tips. And again, we have that download, which is at chatthefat.com/episode 35. That will list out all 10 tips in case you didn't take notes. And then next week, episode 37, we are actually going to interview one of our successful keto challengers who had amazing success during the challenge. And then she went on to join Keto Decoded, and she's still seeing continued results even in the time in between the challenges. And since that keto challenge is coming back before we know it, I thought this would be a great time to hear all about her story and see what's been going on since she started the challenge all the way back in September.
And where can people go to save their spot or be notified when you actually open the registration?
Yeah, they want to make sure that they get on the list because it won't be open to a ton of people. I just want to make sure we keep it small enough so everyone gets their support. And if they want to get on that waiting list, it's eatingfatistheNewSkinny.com/keto challenge. And when they sign up, I'll also give them my pre-challenge tips so they can start getting ready for the challenge in the weeks leading up to the challenge.
Okay. All right. I hope everybody has a great holiday. I hope you got that purple big wheel that you asked for, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Whether you're brand new to keto or just looking to move past roadblocks, join us for our next Troubleshooting Keto Master Workshop. Go to chatthefat.com/workshop to find upcoming dates and register for this totally free event. You just might find your missing piece of the puzzle. Until then, we'll see you next week on Chat the Fat.